Hey guys! I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. I am so appreciative of all the support and comments and subscriptions you guys have been sending my way. I really appreciate it. I'm so grateful. In this video, I want to speak to you guys about how I believe, from what I have observed about INFJs and from what I've learned about them over the past few years, is that I think freedom, more than anything else, above everything else, is our primary value as an INFJ. Primary value. Now, what does a value mean? A value is something that drives you no matter what is going on around you. So no matter what's going on in the world around you, or in the relationships around you, or around the people around you, or whatever it might be, in the circumstances, whatever's going on around you, the same thing almost always ends up driving you and your values and your priorities, I would say. So, for example, for me, freedom is definitely one of those things that drives everything that I do. Every decision that I make in my life is based on freedom. Everything that I think about in terms of relationships, having children or not having children, where I live, what I do with my life, what do I do with my time, what do I eat, what do I not eat, all of it is derived from this basic value that I have, which is freedom. It's a basic value. It's very simple if you think about it, but it is so important to me that no matter what I do, I always think about this first. How is this item, whatever it might be, how is it going to affect my freedom? How is it going to take away my freedom? How is it going to give me more freedom? How can I bring more freedom into my life in general? So a really simple example, one of the reasons why I live in Chiang Mai, or why I do what I do, the traveling thing, the digital nomad thing, working online thing, all of it has to do with the fact that freedom is my primary value. It is so important to me. Time freedom, location independence, all of it is so important to me that all of the different things that I do in my daily life are geared towards building more and more of that freedom. I want to have the freedom to choose what I want to do with my time. I want to have the freedom to choose where I want to live. I want to have the freedom to choose who I spend my time with. And I want to have the freedom to choose how I spend my money rather than being forced to spend it in a certain way. Now, if you live in a Western country at all, or in a developed country, whatever you want to call them, the first world countries, one of the things that I notice as soon as I go back to visit is there is this constant pressure, constant invisible pressure, I would say, on everyone around me to live a certain kind of lifestyle. Now, it's not something that someone comes up to you and says, do this. It's just something that happens in the background. And instantaneously, as soon as I go back to Toronto, I notice this pressure, this invisible pressure, pushing me down into that mold, right? And so it'll be telling me, oh, your clothes are not good enough. You need to buy new clothes, and your job isn't good enough. You're not making enough money. You need to get a new job, or your hairstyle isn't good enough. You need to go to a really nice salon and get it done, or you're not wearing enough makeup, so you need to go to a store and buy more makeup. Your cell phone isn't good enough. It's not the latest model. You need to go buy a new cell phone. And so much more. And it constantly, this invisible pressure kind of pushing me and telling me to do all these things, buy these things, live a certain way, live here, live there, do this, do that, etc. Now, when I'm in Chiang Mai, I don't feel that pressure, perhaps because I don't hang out with that many people, but also even if I hang out with people, they're living the same kind of life and they're interested in the same kind of things as me. Freedom is their primary value as well, which means that they know not to pressure me to do anything or even talk about that kind of stuff. It doesn't really even come up. They don't talk about the latest cell phone models, or what kind of clothing they're going to buy next, or what their next purchase going to be. A lot of our conversations roam around or meander around, kombucha or random hippie stuff, like what are we going to, what kind of events are we going to go to, or what spiritual practice are we focusing on at the moment, or how are we making more money so we can live the lifestyle that we want, or what are we doing in order to work less so we can enjoy more of the things that we want to do with our days. And so this kind of pressure kind of dissipates in Chiang Mai for me specifically. Now, of course, this is my choice. The lifestyle here is really different from the lifestyle in Toronto. Perhaps the level or the standard of living is definitely higher in Toronto, but I find that I am deader on the inside when I'm in Toronto, and I lose a lot of my freedoms because it's so much more expensive to live and there's so much more pressure to buy and do all of these other things, right? So that in itself is a basic essence of what I think of when I'm looking at where I want to live and how I can bring more freedom into my life. Now, the more I read comments from you guys as well, the same thing comes up over and over again. You are not as interested in other aspects of society. You're not interested maybe perhaps in having a big family or buying a big home or buying a second home or buying a big car or whatever that might be. Those are not things that interest us as INFJs. As you guys already know, we're not that interested in material things. We like luxury and we love beautiful things and we are interested in that kind of thing, but we are minimalist as well. And also, we don't really care as much about materialist things as much as we do about spiritual deeds or making sure that we're living to the utmost of our ability, to our utmost peak of our ability, right? Living our life purpose and all that. And so I notice a lot of you guys come up with the same kind of themes, saying that freedom is extremely important to you. When I did the video about why I don't want to have children, freedom was, of course, one of the values why I said I don't want to have children. Also because I really can't imagine, especially the state of the world right now, I cannot imagine bringing a child into the world right now and putting them into this situation. But freedom absolutely was one of those values, and a lot of you guys reciprocated, said the same thing. You said exactly the same thing as me. You said because freedom is so important to you, time freedom, location freedom, and the freedom to be able to do what you want to do with your time, you know that a lot of those freedoms will be restricted by having kids. So that's why one of the reasons why a lot of you have decided not to have children. And these are conversations I have constantly, consistently with INFJs. Freedom is one of those values that comes up over and over and over again. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because I noticed something from myself, and it's really important that I wanted to do this video because I'm guessing this comes up for you guys as well. And one of the things that I noticed is that even though in my head and in my heart, I know that freedom is one of those values that is non-negotiable for me. I cannot negotiate on that. No matter what happens, what else happens in the world, I will not negotiate on my freedom, right? But even though I know that, even though I know as soon as I negotiate on my freedom or do something to negate it, I notice that I start feeling terrible about myself. I start hating myself or hating my life. I start feeling depressed. I start feeling restricted or suffocated. A lot of negative stuff starts happening in my psyche, in my heart, in my spirituality. All of it starts feeling smaller and stifled, right? And so I have to be really careful because there is this constant, I would say, refrain in the world or constant thing in the world that's pushing us to less and less freedom. There is this constant underlying thing about the society that we live in, no matter where you live in, that's constantly telling you to do things that will restrict your freedom. And that's not something that is done consciously, it's something that's done unconsciously. And so I will notice that happen to myself as well. All of a sudden I'll be like, oh, I think I want to do that. And then I think about it a little bit more and I think to myself, but why? Why do I want to take on that specific job? Or why do I want to buy that specific item? And a lot of times when I think about it is obviously due to marketing or advertising or that underlying refrain in society that's telling me that I'm not good enough, and if I do that specific thing, then I'll be good enough, right? But a lot of times to be good enough, you have to restrict your freedom. And I noticed that in myself. Now I've gotten really good at noticing it and saying, okay, no. I know what you're trying to do. I know you're trying to fool me. I'm not going to let you do that. So I'm going to step back and say, no, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to take on that job, or I'm not going to do that thing because it's going to restrict my freedom. But in the past, when I was a younger and less aware INFJ, I noticed that these kind of advertising or marketing modes would pull me in their direction and would let me restrict my freedom consciously. And I would do it, and I would think about it later. I'm like, why did I actually do that? But in the moment, I would get distracted and I would take on that role or responsibility, restricting my freedom. And so I wanted to really make us more aware and more careful of this, because I noticed as soon as I start doing anything to restrict my freedom, my happiness level goes down immensely. My level of joy and ecstasy at being alive in this world completely gets restricted. And so it's one of those values that's, as I said, non-negotiable. It's one of those things that will help you feel at the peak of your life, but there is this constant thing in the world that's going to try and pull you away from that. And so as an INFJ, as a person in this world, we constantly have to be fighting against this force that is trying to get us to lose and give up our freedom. Right? It's always there, and it's always going to be there. There is no point of time where you can say, okay, I can give up now, or I can relax now because my freedom is not going to be taken away. There's constantly going to be this battle within us and within society against us, that society is going to constantly be trying to pull us into a direction which is restricting our freedom, and we're going to constantly be fighting back against society, against whatever it might be, to gain back our freedom. And this constant battle, the back and forth, is going to go on until the rest of eternity. We're going to be dealing with it until we die. And so, as I said, we have to become more aware of this battle that that is being fought anew every single day. We have to constantly be aware of it and constantly be looking at it as something that we need to be careful of. As soon as it comes up, we have to realize that, okay, my freedom is going to be restricted or taken away by this item or that. I have to be careful not to fall into that trap that society has laid down for me. Because if I do, then my happiness level or my joy or my ecstasy or whatever that level is going to drop immensely. And that's not something that I want to happen, right? I wanted to share this with you guys, as I said, because this happens to me constantly. I'm constantly fighting this battle, constantly fighting against the societal need to pull me into less freedom modes. I'm constantly pulling myself back. And if I notice myself doing it, I know you're probably doing the same thing. And so we have to be really careful in this world. Again, if you guys have any questions about this video or any other video that I've done, please let me know. If you guys have any questions, you can comment below, or you're more than welcome to email me. My email address is in the description below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.